All right, so I have just covered this piece of, it's an old piece of a red well. I wanted something heavy stock with this StencilGirl stencil called Whimsical Waves, because I have been experimenting with using a stencil, layering with a stencil. And so I am trying to see if this works on a larger scale. What I've done is, what you can barely see here, I have a stencil in the background, and then I used another stencil on top of that. And I thought maybe I could get a similar effect. I know it doesn't look like much in here, but we'll see what we can do with that. So what I've done is I've used the stencil. I've covered the background, a majority of it, with this stencil and simply some matte gel medium, and let it dry completely. This is the last piece I've done. I've done 4 kind of sections here. And then I'm going to come over it with another stencil. Let that dry. On that stencil, I'm going to use a mixture of, I'm going to make a paste, and it is a mixture of universal medium, water, and 3DFlex powder. And I've made a slurry or a paste out of it. It's a little thinner than a paste, and that's what I used on this. And I'm going to put it through a stencil on top of this, and then add color like I did here. So I'm going to let this dry, and once that's dry, then we'll do the second layer of the stencil using that 3DFlex and universal medium paste. Okay, so that has dried. I have this stencil. This is the S110 called Tall Birds, and as per usual, I will have all the supplies I've used linked down below. And I am going to add this to the surface of this red well. Get this kind of mixed up a little bit here. And like I said, it's not quite a paste, it's more like a slurry. And this is with the white universal medium and blue universal medium mixed in with the 3DFlex and a little bit of water. And I'm getting the slurry through the stencil, and then I'm kind of coming back over that and giving a little surface texture to it, so it's not completely smooth. Give it a little interest. And I am laying this down rather thick. Not so thick, I'm hoping that it kind of, because it's so thin, that it pulls out from the edges, but we'll see when we pull this up. It's fixing something that's been broken. Okay, so it has pulled out a little bit. A lot on this one right here. And whenever using Powertex's universal medium, you want to get your plastic, you should always use plastic tools, plastic or metal, and you should always get them into water right away to wash. All right, I'm gonna let this dry completely and then come back in with my next layer, which is gonna be a color layer. All right, this is dry for the most part. It's dry to the touch. There is some cracking, and that's because I used some water mixed in with that. It gives it that crackle look. I've gone in and I've cleaned up the edges a little bit, added a little bit more just with my palette knife, and filled in the gaps that were in the legs for the stencil. And now I'm gonna go in color. So I'm using a Bister. If you wanna learn more about Universal Medium, I'll have a video linked up here, as well as I'll also link, and I'll link these down below as well, a video to learn more about Bisters. But what Bisters are is they are walnut inks that have been colored with a pigment. So that's what this is here on this little sample that I'm trying to recreate of this little discovery that I had. So we'll see if this works. If not, I have another idea to go for. So I'm gonna take this, and this is the green Bister, which is, of course, has brown in it because it is walnut ink, mixed with walnut ink. I'm going to spray this over the top. Now, Bisters are water soluble, and so the Powertex is going to repel that, and then we're going to get this really cool background. I am going to kind of pull this out a little bit, but you can really see that first stencil we went in with, you just get this lovely background behind it. And this is just a baby wipe that I'm coming in with to use up some of that spray. So when I sprayed this, excuse me, when I sprayed this, it was still wet. The Powertex was still, the slurry was still wet. Here it was not. And I was hoping to get more of the blue coming through, and we can actually enhance that by coming in with this baby wipe and kind of pulling some of that off. I do want to have that texture coming through, so I think I'm gonna, this is pretty dry baby wipe. And just pull up and let the blue kind of shine through a little bit. There's no more compassion, no. Raise me. I need something fast. I need something to last and give satisfaction, no. I can even come out here and add more to just make this pop. I'll take the left. Oh, help me, interrogate. How big is your love? Tell me, how high is your patience? So my idea is to do the same thing, but not put so much of the matte gel medium through this initial stencil. Just kind of to put a little bit on a baby wipe and run it through the stencil, let it dry completely, and do the same thing that we did here, except for I'm going to spray the Bister on it while the slurry is still wet. So let's give that a try next. Still pretty cool. Okay, this is just a piece of watercolor paper. it is cold press. I am going to get a little bit of the matte gel medium out, maybe a little bit less. And I have a baby wipe, and I'm just going to move that around as if, because what I did over here was I was just cleaning off a stencil, so it was really thin. Now this is back, this piece I have as my under paper is kind of slick surfaced, so that may have something to do with it too, but we're gonna get that done, just a thin layer.
Tell me how high is your patience? Can I be saved?
See it a little bit, not a great deal. You can kind of see it in the, well, why is that not picking it up on the camera? You can kind of see it a little bit there. All right, I'm gonna let that dry, and then we'll come back in and add our birds and try that. Now that it's dry, you can't see anything. So we're gonna go on a wing and a prayer here. So here are our birdies. Just gonna put them centered on this. Pull out our slurry, and I'm going to get this added and then add our Bister to this. Add our Bister to this while it's wet. Kind of give it some texture. It's interesting how it wants to pull up off that watercolor paper, and I wonder if it's because of the gel medium. A little bleed through, not too bad this time. I do have some texture on it. There we go. With this wet, coming in with the green Bister once again. I hope you can already see the stencil that we did in the background coming through. Oh yeah. This underpaper is getting a workout. I love this green. It's one of my favorite colors. Okay, we're gonna let that dry, and once the slurry mixture has dried, we'll try and see if we can pull up any more of the Bister like I did on this sample over here. That it's not really a sample, but it's the thing that happened on my underpaper that got me into this, trying to discover, you know, how we can repeat that. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Okay, let's see what happens. Give this time to dry. All right, this is dry, and I have a moist baby wipe.
Into a cold and step outside. Dark and quiet road.
So that is more like that, and that's what I was going after. So that's pretty cool. So layering stencils, you can get some really cool things layering stencils, and I really love how this turned out. Pretty neat. So I hope you have enjoyed this little Technique Tuesday. It is sometimes that's just how things come upon me. I discover something just by, so I really encourage you to experiment, to play with your supplies, because you never know what you're going to end up figuring out. There's a wealth of unfound looks that you can come up with out there. So anyways, thank you for coming along.
The light becoming clear, I walk along.